All right, today we're going to get into two terms you've probably heard thrown around, but maybe they sound kind of the same: quality assurance and quality control. Believe it or not, they're at the heart of this unseen battle for perfection that's happening right now inside every factory making the stuff we all rely on. So let's just start with a massive question. I mean, really think about this for a second. Your car? It has something like 30,000 different parts. A jumbo jet? We're talking millions. So how on earth do you make sure every single one of those bolts, wires, and panels isn't just okay, but absolutely perfect? Because when one little flaw can lead to disaster, good enough just doesn't cut it. So how do they pull it off? Well, the whole journey to perfection, it really starts with a pretty simple idea. You can't fix what you can't see. Before you can improve a single thing, you need a full, complete picture of everything that's going on right now across that entire factory floor. And that's where something called production performance monitoring comes in. Now, the key word here is holistic. This isn't about one person with a clipboard watching one machine, no way. Think of it more like a mission control for the whole factory. A single bird's eye view of the entire operation to make sure it's all running like a finely tuned engine. So, what is this mission control actually looking at? It's all about the data, the KPIs, or key performance indicators. Stuff like how efficiently are people working? How much money are we literally throwing away on mistakes and having to redo things? And this one's huge. How often are our multi-million dollar machines just sitting there, doing nothing? All of this data together, it paints a really clear picture of the factory's health. Okay, so we're watching the factory. We've got all this data pouring in. Now, what do we do with it? How do you actually use it to build perfection into the system right from the very beginning? This brings us to our first major strategy, the quality blueprint. And this is quality assurance, or QA. Now, the two most important words here are processes and prevent. See, QA isn't about finding mistakes after they've already happened. It's about designing a system, a whole process that's so solid, so well planned, that the defects are stopped before they even have a chance to exist. If you're going to remember one thing, let it be this: QA is all about the process. The best way to think about it is like an architect. Before a single brick is laid, the architect creates a flawless blueprint. They design the entire system, the foundation, the workflow, the materials, to make sure the final building will be perfect. QA is doing that exact same thing, just for manufacturing. And let's be clear, the stakes here are as high as they get. In industries like cars and airplanes, a tiny failure in the process can have absolutely devastating consequences. So a good QA system isn't just about saving money or being efficient. It is a fundamental part of safety. It's the reason that plane can fly and the reason your car's brakes work every single time. But, let's be real. Even the world's greatest architect with the most amazing blueprint can't predict every single possibility. So what happens if, somehow, a little flaw slips through the cracks of that perfect process? Well, that's when the second hero of our story steps onto the scene. And this is quality control, or QC. So if QA is all about preventing defects, QC is all about finding them. This is the hands-on, get your hands dirty part of the job. It's the physical act of testing, inspecting, and measuring the actual parts to see if they meet the strict standards that were laid out in the plan. And that's the big difference right there. QC is all about the product. So if QA is our architect with the blueprint, QC is the inspector on the construction site. They're the one tapping the walls, measuring the doorways, and testing the final structure to make sure what was actually built perfectly matches the plan. And this inspection isn't something that just happens at the very end. Oh no, it's a continuous process. QC inspectors are testing the raw materials before they're even used. They're pulling random samples right off the assembly line during production to catch problems early. And then, of course, they do a final, super thorough inspection of the finished product before it's allowed to leave the building. So there we have it. We have our architect and we have our inspector. One designs the perfect system, the other checks the final results. Let's put them side by side so this difference becomes totally 100% crystal clear. And this is it. This is the big aha moment. Quality assurance is proactive. It's focused on the process. It's about preventing mistakes from ever happening. Quality control is reactive. It's focused on the product. It's about finding any mistakes that might have slipped through.
They're not fighting each other. They're two sides of the same coin, working together to achieve perfection.
But here's the thing. You can have the best processes and the best inspectors in the world, but it's not enough. You can't just staple these ideas onto a company and hope they work. For any of this to be truly effective, it has to become part of the company's very DNA. And that brings us to the ultimate goal, which is creating something called a culture of quality. This is all about creating an environment where perfection isn't just one department's job. It's a shared belief, a mindset where everybody, from the CEO down to the person sweeping the floor, feels a sense of ownership and personal responsibility for quality.
So how do you even build something like that? Well, it starts by training people and empowering them to take that responsibility. It means creating super clear standards so everyone knows exactly what perfect looks like. And it means constantly testing and analyzing, looking for even the tiniest little variations so you can fix them before they grow into big problems.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. We have our proactive architect, quality assurance, and our reactive inspector, quality control. But as our factories get smarter and smarter, as AI and automation make our processes more and more perfect, is it possible that one day the architect's blueprint could become so flawless that we just don't need the inspector anymore? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.